Okay. Okay, so like finally the Russia. So like I talked about earlier, like because of the World War II population decline, like there's an entire generation loss of population in Russia. So like it will grow a little bit because the generation before didn't suffer as much losses, but then it will reduce again because of that. And then, like it's like kind of the cycle, and then it's like overall decline will go. So like that's like the trend of Russia. And like Russia is a very ethnic centered country. Like they want more Russians and stuff. So like that's like they wanted to make increase their population overall, even though they're going in a long decline road. And like that's like one of the reasons they assert like they're invading Ukraine and going after other countries as well. Like Ukraine, like the Crimea, Ukraine, they annexed had 2 million people, and then like the territories they annexed from Ukraine had more than 4 or 5 million people more. So like that will add more people to the Russian population. And like that's like even then, like Russia could do these small things, but like a lot of countries like Russia are also facing the same thing. Like if you go back here to this chart, this one, like you can see like it's a lot. Like Ukraine is also having a major decline in population. Like it's not because of, and like this is partly influenced by like the 2022 invasion. Like many refugees are leaving, about 6.5 are leave. So like it went pre-war, it was 43 million to now only 36 million Ukrainians now in Ukraine. So like that's like a major decline there. Like that's like the thing. And like even Russia's invading countries with declining populations all over. So like that's not gonna help a lot with the situation. And like that's like the thing there basically. And like there's more examples that I could list. Listen, like finally there's the last example. But like I'll just end with one more, Nigeria, like which is like in this diagram. So like yeah, Nigeria currently is here. It's right now the sixth most populated country. It just surpassed Brazil in 2022. So like that's the thing there. And now it's except it's expected to beat the USA, which is the third pot largest right now by the year 2000, before 2050, and it's expected to be right around China. And like it's a tiny, and comparatively to China, it's a very tiny country. Like it's not a big country at all to like China, India, or US. So like it's gonna have very lot of people there, and like it'll cause some issues if not and how like they'll be like poverty may increase and like stuff. So like Nigeria is a very big example, and like Africa in general is increasing its population. So like eventually we don't know when it will find its stability point. However, that's the thing about the world right now. So like you saw, it's a largely unified growth here in population. Like the growth rate here, like it's US is improving, this is improving, India, China are improving a little bit more, but it's still overall trend is growing. It's still growing all over. But in the 20th century, however, in the 21st century, you can see India will just be India will grow and then shrink a little. China is gonna shrink. USA is gonna largely grow a little bit, and Nigeria will accelerate. So like that's like the difference here in 21st century world. Like it's gonna cause major implications on population. So like yeah.
Well done, Achyut. Very well done.
Thank you.
Nice presentation.
Thank you, Tani. Your presentation was good as well.
Thank you.
Right. So that was a very good analysis, Achyut, as Tanvi and Mitra mentioned. Good appreciations to be given for your presentation. I got two questions. Question number one is, irrespective of the technological advancements, irrespective of all the spheres of growth that are happening in all these countries, why do you think population, and why do you think these people are always keeping this population regard as last in this list? It's a crazy kind of a paradox that they have got the awareness and they have got this kind of a serious danger of population when it is rising. It is going to slash heavily onto the economic ratio. Irrespective of all that, they still don't worry about population, and always population is the biggest mere underregarded feature. And even educated countries, if you take, we spoke about Russia. Russia's literacy percentage is almost about 53%. Yeah, Nigeria, of course, well, the literacy rate is only about 7.5%. India, the literacy rate is more than 48%. And the USA, well, uh, it's pretty good in control, but the literacy ratio is almost about 73%. And China, the literacy ratio is almost about 78%. So being literate, being aware, and being alarmed, always these countries have put population as the last in this regard. And that's the last thing that they always worry about. What is the reason for this pathetic condition?
I mean, it's like more like short term. They're focusing more on the short term than the long term, basically. Like they're doing the same thing with climate change overall. Some places, not other places, but some places. This is like the climate change, like they're bringing made like to try to make it more convincing. They're making it kind of short term, like in within 8 years, like the world will collapse. Like that's what they're saying, which like that's a little exaggeration, though it's working to help at least alleviate it. So like they're focusing short term policies will help them gain more popular support for like an election and like stuff like that's like the major reason. And they want to hold on to power like a long term, like the people won't see the effects of the long term in the at least for some time, and they would be voted out of power. But like short term, if you achieve something good in there, then like that's the thing. And like short term population thing is again like the many, like for example in the Ukraine war right now, many Ukrainian refugees are going to Poland and stuff, and that became a major issue in Poland and stuff of in those bordering countries because the population is so short term. The growth came. If it was more long term, like it wouldn't be ignored, I would say, but like it would definitely be less of a priority because it's just not gonna show the immediate effects on the people. So like it's more like the immediate effects of the people, and like they want to have more popular support, like all this stuff is that. So like short-term policies are being more in general, like favored in compared to long term.
Okay. Right, Mitra Tanvi, about 33 minutes of Chit's presentation. And if you got any questions, you're free to ask now.
I have a question, sir.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, sir. Sachit, it was a very nice presentation. You have done a lot of research, and it was very great to hear all those facts presented in a PPT form. So my question is, I recently read about the industrial clusters. So in that, I came across a policy that many states, especially Tamil Nadu, like it took effect and it started implementing it because I learned that at many places, especially in Tamil Nadu, they focus on developing skilled human resources rather than focusing on the primary and arithmetic education. So they all want the skilled human resources because devoid of necessary oil reserves in India, India is most importantly focusing on agriculture and industries. So Tamil Nadu is mainly focusing on providing skilled human resources for the industries because for industries we need a lot of people who are experienced and at the same time skilled. So I'm feeling that when we try to control the population through many means that you mentioned, like there are so many methods to implement this population control, don't you think that that would also, apart from the reduction in the labor force, don't you think that it would reduce the skilled human resources? Because when there is a slash in the population control, some might be illiterates and some might be literates, and among the literate people, there might be some who are expertised in few fields while other may be strong in just their own primary education. So in your opinion, don't you think that this population control might slash down or lead to the reduction of the skilled human resources for industries?
So like, thank you for the comments. And the workers are typically like, you see like the country turn in the map. Like there's the more developed countries, the more countries making more money, they tend to have less children than like the countries which are poor. And like skilled workers are often paid a lot more than unskilled workers in general. Like that's just the common norm. So like you would assume like skilled workers would have less children than like the unskilled. So like and like if like the world wealth, like there's still climb, you can climb up the wealth ladder from unskilled to skilled, but like it's becoming harder. It's becoming a little hard now, some of these places, like in India, like because as it's marred by years of that stuff, many of the upper class as India is moving to other countries like the US and stuff. Of it's causing more unskilled workers to cause more population growth. So like that's like the thing that is definitely a legitimate thing to be concerned about with the skilled worker population thing there. And like it will also reduce with the labor force because also there's more aging population, which although age, like if you're aged, it doesn't mean it'll doesn't mean like you won't be skilled. Like you, there's still many people that are aged and work, but like it's also like also it'll be less effective. Like if you're aged, like it won't be as good as a youth person skilled doing the job, and like that will also be a major thing there. So like that's like the thing. So like unliterate people will produce more unliterate people, and we can change that through policies. So like to have more skills and stuff. Skilled people will have less of their own, and like it's the if the generation remains in the same like wealth level, like then like it's gonna be a problem because unskilled people will grow more by the day, and like skilled people will be less. So like that will be something there. That's the trend. So like I agree with what you're saying.
Thank you, Ajit, for the answer.
Yeah, that's right. It's an acceptable point. Tanvi, what is your understanding about Achyut's presentation? I understand that you are the youngest person in this lot, and I'm happy that a presentation like this from Achyut Venkat has really taught you a lot of things, and it gives you a lot of wisdom. So, in your opinion, and in the best way of your communication mode, what did you learn from today's presentation from Achyut, Tanvi? Tanvi, can you unmute and speak? Did you listen to my question?
Sorry, sir, I muted.
Yeah, please.
Sir, when we are doing population control, the resource will be used properly, sir.
Absolutely, yes. Resource will be used properly. I'm asking you a simple question. Try to answer. Even if you're not able to answer, that's definitely okay. No problem. Um, when we have more number of people in a country, I'm making the question very simple so that you can observe and answer. When we have more people in a country, and when we have less amount of resources for the supply for those people, how do you think a country can manage? Choose the best answer. I'll give you three choices. More people, less resources. When I say less resources, everything, right? Like from right from the indispensable resource like water, food, minerals, technology, the avenues, consumables, all that. When we have less amount of resources, but we have more number of people in the country, what can we do? Choice number one, borrow resources from the next country. Choice number two, have a friendly regard with another country. And choice number three, try to make the people work in the same country for maximizing resources. Out of these three choices, Tanvi, which one do you think is the best
Sir, make people to work to maximize the resources, sir.
one? Very good. Nice answer. One last question. Why does your mind think so? Why did you answer that way? Your answer is right. Can you give me the justification? Why do you think so?
So when we do our hard work, we will get the effort, sir, so that we'll feel happy, sir. Then it seems that we are standing in our legs, sir. We don't need to borrow from other countries.
That's good. Good, good, good. Nice. Nice answer, Tanvi. Well done. Very well done. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Okay, so Mitra and Tanvi very nicely contributed towards presentation. Yes, the major part of our session was Achyut's presentation. And Mitra, when you're joining next week, I would like to see a presentation from your side. Think about that, please.
Okay, sir.
All right, Achyut. So what's going to be your next week's agenda? You have anything premeditated into your mind? Today, it was more of a civics lesson, something. So what's your next presentation going to be?
I honestly don't know. I'll just see what I see. Typically look at the news and like try to find it. Like the yeah,
Mm.
like one of the major reasons did this presentation was there was a YouTube video that came out like yesterday. And I typically work on the presentation on Saturdays before because that's more convenient for me. And so
Mm.
I saw the YouTube video on how South Korea could blue North Korea would like have more, and like it mentioned population control, and like that gave an idea. So like I
Mm.
typically follow the news. I'll typically follow whatever new content there is on those things, and like it will help me see what topics I can help use for the next week presentation. So like that's like typically how I do it in
Right.
general. Like the previous week, I talked about the the new spaceships of 2023. I saw in one thing that I saw a video about one of them. I think the Artemis program, and like that's how I did it. So like that's like how I typically work with presentations of discuss.
All right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. The data was very intensified. You see, if you take the period of 90s, people were very much worried about population. When the HIV virus struck the whole world, that is not as much dangerous as the pandemic that we got recently struck with. But it was 30% or 25% of the current pandemic that we experienced. When HIV struck the world, the population immediately diminished, right? So basically speaking, if you speak the volume of the period in the 1990s, um, so much of illumination and ignited thinking were given towards this huge crisis called as population. But over the period of time, when we stepped into 2000s, and after this, there is something called as the Y2K problem in computer emergence. After that, we never spoke about population because we had some other areas of dominant problems striking the world, and population problem got last in that list. But it is a silent monster. I'm telling you, it's a silent monster. The lack of abundance and the lack of resources are cropping up slowly, and it is going to catch our throat unless and until in the G8 conferences or in the magnum of countries meeting, if these presidents and prime ministers are not taking any prominent steps against population control or promoting population control, we'll be in a serious trouble in the next decade or so. So having that in mind, a teenager like you taking this as a presentation topic is really cool. And next week, make the presentation a little bit more lengthier. Today, you did a real good job. Uh, Prepare a PPT presentation next time also, maybe on Saturday or Sunday. And just let me know. If you got any clarifications, you can always ask in the middle also. Okay, Tanvi? All right, okay. So Achit, you got any other points to be mentioned? before we close
No,
here?
sir.
All right. So, Mitra, you got anything to mention to the classmates before we close?
I just want to appreciate them, sir, because I was not able to appreciate Tanvi orally, sir, verbally. So well done, Tanvi. Your presentation was really nice. So it was the first time I saw you making a PPT presentation. Very well done. And actually, it was a vast presentation, and it was really good hearing it. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Akka.
Okay. All right, girls and Achyut, I'm so happy that you did the presentation today. We'll meet next week. Come up with this on Saturday's class. Daniel and Evangeline will join, and on Sunday's class, Achyut will be, and we will have other scope of learning. I had a presentation to be made today, but I wanted Aditya to be part of the presentation, so I'm pushing it. And my immediate announcement is that I'm bringing CRS. CRS stands for Credit Rating System, and this credit rating system is common for US batch and Indian batch students. Now, Achyut is in the US batch, and Mitra, Tanvi, Aditya are all in the Indian batch. The CRS will have 6 or 7 criteria, and each criteria will be given with points. For example, I will mention 2 criteria. I will make a vast presentation about CRS next week on Sunday, like academics, physical exercises, reading books, using less screen time, treating the other people with respect. Likewise, some 7 or 8 criteria will be derived, and each week, one student will have points gathered in each criteria. And once you reach the ceiling within a specific period of time, the student will be appreciated by getting provided with a cash award and a certificate from my banner. And the cash award, like say in Indian net rate, say 1,200 rupees or 1,300 rupees, whatever it may be. That's, I think it's close to some $8 or $10, $12, in order to make Achyut clarify it well. You can get that money and you can use that money, and you should buy something constructive, and you should make a presentation about why you have invested the money. Like, for example, I'll give you an instance. In 2020-21, there were about 12 students, and they were into CRS, including Mitra. And I was running 3 CRS cycles. One CRS will go for about 100 days or 60 days or whatever it may be. And there were about 5 people who came as finalists, out of which 3 people got the first cash prize. Like Mitra, there was another guy called Dakshin Siddharth. So a couple of people. Mitra got the money, and she bought some books, and she made a presentation about books. Like this guy, Dakshin Siddharth, got a wireless speaker out of the money. And some of the other students who got the second prize money, like 900 Indian net rate or 800 Indian net rate, one guy bought a sports shoe out of it. And the US batch student, I remember his name, I think he's the contemporary of Achyut, Siddharth. He invested, Siddharth and Taneshwar, these 2 guys, they invested in stock market. They pulled in 2 CRS money, and they've invested that in the stock market. So this is the kind of the system I'm going to bring in. This will make the student get erected and narrowed down towards the success path. And also there will be a fruit of labor. So that is going to be launched next week. So you got to be considering it very serious, and every week. And failing of in any criteria will lead a penalty. Minus mark will be there, and each week the spreadsheet will be updated. So Mitra, Aditya, Tanvi, and Achyut, the 4 are going to be inducted. Well, Daniel and Evangeline, I haven't thought about it. I will talk about it next week. So be prepared for that next week. All right. So thank you. Have a nice week ahead, and we will meet next week with the CRS launch for us. Good week, everybody. Say bye to yourselves, and you can leave.
Thank you, sir. Bye,
Bye.
Tanvi.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Achyut.
Thank you. Bye,
Bye, Akka.
Mitra.
Bye,
Bye,
Vanu.
Tanvi. Bye, sir.
Bye, Achyut, and bye, Tanvi.
Bye,
Bye,
sir.
Mitra. Bye, Tanvi.
Bye, sir.
Bye, Mitra.
Bye, Tanvi.
Bye, Mitra.
Bye, sir.
Yeah.
Bye,
See
Akka.
you. Bye.